Yesterday, Kevin Harvick went to victory lane for the first time in his 38 starts at the Pocono Raceway. But that was yesterday. Today, he has to do it all over again in the second day of NASCAR racing from the Pocono Raceway, as a triple header will commence later today with the Truck, Xfinity, and NASCAR Cup Series racing. Welcome to the Sunday edition of MDK Racing. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of MDK Racing. My name is Jack Krause, and I'm going to get you filled in for at least the Cup Series running of the Pocono 300, the second race of the NASCAR doubleheader from the Tricky Triangle. We do know that the Truck Series and Xfinity Series are also racing today. The truck race was supposed to take place the day before, but got postponed to 9 a.m. Eastern time early in the morning. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, I'm not going to be able to cover both series, so we're just going to focus on the Cup Series. But we still have to talk about what took place in yesterday's Pocono Organics 325. The race started out like every other race in 2020 since NASCAR got back to racing. Rain pushed the race back, I want to say a half an hour to about an hour. Then once we got cars on the racetrack, we had to do like 5 or 6 pace laps due to a bit of puddles that took place all across the racetrack, specifically in turn 2, as multiple drivers have said that there were puddles either in the middle or near the apron or up towards the wall of the tunnel turn. But NASCAR deemed that it was good to go and we would not have any issues with the rain for the remainder of the day. And basically that race was your typical Pocono race. Lots of strategies, but very little passing. Because of this aero package, and we're going to talk about that issue later on in this episode, but because of the package, because, you know, dirty air is such a main issue even now more than ever, track position, that was the #1 thing that people or drivers and crew were keen on. So they were going to do everything they can in order to get out in front, and of course you have to do pit strategy to do so. But one driver will say that shined, even though there were a bunch of issues with this race, with this package, one driver that shined, surprisingly, was Aric Almirola. He won stage 1 and I think led the most, if not the second most laps led in that race. He shined. I mean, if you compare it to his previous Pocono starts, and then Mike Joyce said before this race, or before yesterday's race, he led only 2 laps. And today, he led more than like 60, I believe. So he really impressed me in this race. Ultimately came home with a 3rd place finish. But now we're going to see if yesterday was not a fluke and if he can continue on at least that speed into today's race. But we're going to skip ahead right onto the final pit stop, which took place around 19 ago, I want to say. I could be wrong about that. But around that area, we saw Aric Almirola and 2nd place driver Kevin Harvick, his teammate, come on to pit stop for the final time. Well, Aric Almirola came into the pits as a leader. But when they got out, Harvick had a 4 or 5 tenths second of a lead, at least between him and Aric Almirola. It was a very impressive start by the Ford team and allowed them to gap up to the then 11-second gap ahead of Aric Almirola. But Harvick was not out of the woods just yet because he had Denny Hamlin, 6-time Pocono winner, right behind his tail, and it was closing in. It was 2 seconds, and then it slowly but surely he began to chop down that lead. However, Hamlin was chasing down Harvick with concern as he reported over the radio that he was suffering a major vibration, as well as Kyle Busch. During this whole time, throughout the final few laps, you saw certain drivers have issues on the racetrack with tire issues, more specifically Joey Logano, who led a good portion near the first half of the race at stage 2, I believe, as well. He had an issue with the tire, completely shredded the right front tire or left front tire, and had to come onto pit road, and because of that, he will have to start 38th in this race, and we're going to get into the reason why. But yeah, Hamlin, even though with that major vibration, he was still closing out Kevin Harvick so much that he was within reach of getting past Kevin Harvick for the race lead, but ultimately he would not be able to do so, and Kevin Harvick go on to win at Pocono for the first time in his career. Can you believe that? 1 win in 38 starts. So here's a look at the unofficial, or I should say official results now. Hamlin in 2nd place, Aric Almirola in 3rd. Christopher Bell, very impressive run for him in the 4th spot. Kyle Busch, another Toyota, rounds out the top 5. Teammate Mark Truex Jr. in 6th. Clint Boyer, a nice run for him in the 7th spot. Michael McDowell, what a run for that 34 team, and what a season so far for Front Row Motorsports. They have been very impressive between their two drivers. Good run for the 34 team. Brad Keselowski in 9th, and Chris Buescher rounds out the top 10. Good run for Matt Kenseth. I believe that's his best finish so far in 2020 in the 11th spot. And last week's winner, Ryan Blaney, in the 12th spot. 13th place is Matt DiBenedetto. William Byron, the best of the 100 cars, in the 14th spot. And Ryan Newman in the 6th car in 15th. Cole Custer in the 41 car, another rookie, in the 16th position. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 17th. Kurt Busch 18th. Austin Dillon 19th, and Ryan Preece, who finished 20th. Because of that, he will now start on the pole as the positions have been inverted. Jimmy Johnson finishes 21st, Bubba Wallace 22nd, Chase Elliott 25th, Alex Bowman 27th. Bowman, he had issues after he smacked the wall earlier in the race, had more tire issues, and it was just a horrible day for Hendrick Motorsports as a whole. Now from 38th on back, Tyler Reddick, you see him there, as well as Eric Jones, who finishes 38th. Those two are involved in a crash, I believe, I want to say near halfway in the race. Eric Jones, he had to jump off the gas due to an incident in front of him, including Kurt Busch, and Tyler Reddick just slams into the side of him, and both go into the inside wall. Eric Jones made pretty good contact, and Eric Jones' day ended, while Tyler Reddick, at least he was able to continue on and finish in 30th place. And there you see also Joey Logano finishing in 36th. Now that incident between Tyler Reddick and Eric Jones was huge because those two are in the battle for the final playoff spot. Before this race, Tyler Reddick was ahead of Eric Jones by just 1 point. And now here's a look at what the playoff standings look like after Pocono race number 1. Kevin Harvick top of the board, 16 playoff points. Second place is Ryan Blaney. Third is a Ford of Joey Logano. Chase Elliott, the highest Chevrolet in the field, 170 points above the cut line. He's already locked in. Now see 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th go to Keselowski, Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., and Alex Bowman respectively. Kyle Busch, the highest driver without a victory, 113 points above the cut line, and ahead of his brother Kurt Busch, who is just 86 points above in 10th place. Eric Almirola, good run for him at Pocono. He jumps up 1 spot to 11th in the points, while Jimmy Johnson falls down 1 spot to now just be 62 points ahead in the 12th spot. Here are 4th, 13th, and 14th, Clint Boyer and Matt DiBenedetto. William Byron jumps from 14th, falls to 15th, 35 points ahead of the cut line. And Tyler Reddick, who holds the final spot, he's 6 points ahead of Eric Jones. Austin Dillon in the 3 car, 13 points behind. Chris Buescher in the 19th place, 20 points below the cut line. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 47 car, 30 points below the cut line in the 20th spot. Now let's take a look at the starting lineup for the 2020 Pocono 300. Remember, like I said earlier in the show, because it's a doubleheader, NASCAR decided that after the results of the first Pocono race, the field would be inverted based on those results. And Ryan Preece would start on the pole for today's race. So the outside of him is number 3 car of Austin Dillon. Row 2 has 2 Chevrolets, Kurt Busch on the inside and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on the outside. Row 3 has a pair of Fords, Cole Custer, the highest rookie in the field, and on the outside of him is Ryan Newman. William Byron and Matt DiBenedetto make up row 4. Row 5 makes up of Ryan Blaney, and round up the top 10, Matt Kenseth. Row 6 has Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski. Michael McDowell in the Ford and Clint Boyer, another Ford, make up row 7. And rounding out row 8 is teammates Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch. Row number 9 has Christopher Bell on the inside lane, who is trying to continue on the momentum from his 4th place finish in the first Pocono race. To his outside is Eric Almirola with a very solid 3rd place effort. Row 10 has the drivers that finish 1-2, Denny Hamlin on the inside lane, and winner Kevin Harvick. Row 11 has Jimmy Johnson and another Chevrolet to his outside, Bubba Wallace. Row 12 has Corey LaJoie on the inside and John Nemechek for Front Row Motorsports on the outside. Row 13 has Chevrolets Chase Elliott and Ty Dillon. Row 14 has Alex Bowman and Toyota driver Daniel Suarez. Row 15 has Brendan Poole and Tyler Reddick, both rookies in that row. And row 16 has JJ Yaley and Josh Bilicki. And round out the final 4 rows, Garrett Smithley and James Davison. And row 18, you see there, Joey Logano, who had issues near the end of the race. He will start in the 36th spot. And you see also in row 19, Eric Jones, who was involved in that crash with Tyler Reddick. He will start the field in the 38th position. So what can we expect from today's Pocono 300? Well, like I said in the last video regarding yesterday's race, the Pocono Organics 325, won't be surprising to see if you saw a lot of drivers be more conservative because they're heading the track for the first time this year. Even though they've raced under the same package, you're still going there for the first time with no practice, no qualifying, so you're going to go with a much more conservative, much more stable setup. Well, now when we're going for the second time, teams now have a blueprint. They have an agenda of what the track will feel like. Now, weather stats, at least at the time of this recording, say that no rain is expected to interrupt this event, which is good news, which means the rubber is still going to be kept on the racetrack. So this is going to allow teams to be a bit more aggressive, you know, to say, okay, let's try and push this area or push that area. You're also going to see a lot of crew chiefs and a lot of teams pushing on pit strategy. Remember, like I said earlier on in the episode, dirty air, dirty air, dirty air. With this aero package, it does not work at a track like Pocono. Pocono is a track that you can go from such high speeds, and then it's a heavy braking zone. In turn 1 specifically, when you enter in at 180, 190, and you have to brake all the way down to like 140, 130. Because of that, track position is going to be so important. You're going to see a lot of teams push the agenda, maybe go with different strategies like what we saw with Brian Petty did with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. near the second or near the end of that race during that last round of pit stops. Or you could see what Ryan Newman did and his team did when they tried to stay out until, you know, banking for a caution. You're going to see a lot of that because that's the name of the game with Pocono. At least as of late, the name of the game is just strategy, 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 because you do not want to be trapped behind a driver. At least you don't want to be in Denny Hamlin's shoes, you know, and trying to chase down a driver with an aero package like this. And this is the reason why, as we take a look at dirty air. So because of the aero package and with the addition of the 8-inch spoiler, track position is key. Let's pause right here. Kevin Harvick and Daniel Suarez. Because of the 8-inch rear spoiler, the front car is going to punch a bigger hole in the air and allows the driver behind him, who has less air disturbance, allows the driver to catch up to the driver ahead much more easily, as you can see what Harvick is doing to Daniel Suarez. But now, as we head into 2020, and look at this image from Pocono with Hamlin trying to chase on Harvick. While it's good on the straightaways, it's not good in the turns. When you go into the turns behind a driver, car starts to shake, you lose downforce, and as a result, the car won't turn. And because of that, driver will lose speed. At least the driver will lose speed trying to catch up to the driver ahead, and that makes it just that much more difficult in order to make a pass. And that's another reason why when you watch this race, you're going to see a lot of drivers peeking to the inside, trying to peek lower than the car in front of them, because they know they need clean air in order to keep the car stuck to the ground in order to gain downforce. If you are behind a race car entering a straightaway, that's great. You get less air disturbance, you know, no air disturbing you. You're able to draft up to that car easily thanks to this, you know, massive spoiler. But when you're entering into the corner, that air starts to become disturbed and you lose downforce. You have no grip, car won't turn, and you lose speed. So teams are going to be working their butts off to try and find a way to get track position and to get their driver ahead as quickly as possible. All right, now on to drivers that I think are going to surprise, struggle, and succeed. So let's start off with the driver that I think is going to surprise people. I'm going to go with Michael McDowell. Very impressed with his 8th place run, because he didn't just luck his way into an 8th place finish, you know, through pit strategy. He worked it. He was passing cars. I'm not saying it's impossible to pass cars, but I'm saying it's a lot more difficult to. McDowell was able to pass cars, and he worked his way. He earned that 8th place finish. You also have to understand that Pocono is one of his best racetracks. Pocono is a type of track, it acts like a road course without right turns. And when you look at Michael McDowell's 5 best average tracks, Pocono is one of them. And take a look here: Charlotte Roval, Daytona, Sonoma, Pocono, and Indianapolis. Sonoma, Pocono, and Charlotte Roval, all at least, well, Roval and Sonoma are road courses. Pocono acts like a road course. And on top of that, with the success, or at least the momentum that Front Row Motorsports has had in recent weeks with John Nemechek scoring top 10s and being in the front, Michael McDowell, this is the track that suits his liking. I won't be surprised if you see Michael McDowell near, not towards the front, but at least getting a top 10, because him and that team do need it, and they do deserve it. Now, a driver that I think is going to struggle is Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman, this is one of his worst tracks in the season, and based from what we saw yesterday, I just do not have any hope. And not only Alex Bowman, in any Hendrick driver performing well. Chase Elliott, maybe, you know, he has shown speed at Pocono, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Jimmy Johnson was bad, but he was still one of the better Hendrick cars, and William Byron finished in the 14th spot. But Alex Bowman was horrible, and Pocono not being his best racetrack, you kind of get the idea of why I think Alex Bowman is going to struggle in this race. And a driver that I think is going to succeed is Kyle Busch. The Toyotas came out rocking strong yesterday after many of us thought the Toyota domination was starting to slow down. And what I think is still the case today, Kyle Busch, he has not won a race so far in 2020. He is a defending winner, or he won last year in the first Pocono race. He knows how to get the job done at the Tricky Triangle. He had a very fast car. He also had a vibration, but still worked his way up until the 5th spot. He didn't have the best car, but even have to understand, Kyle Busch said he does not like racing without having any practice in, because that doesn't give the team time to prepare. Now, Kyle and his team, they have an agenda. They now know what the track is going to be like. So I think if you give Kyle Busch time to prepare, and he has 325 miles under his belt, at least with today's season or today's package in this season, I think Kyle Busch is going to go out there and take home his first victory of 2020. And that's going to conclude this episode of MDK Racing. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, share, subscribe, and turn on those notifications for more weekly racing content. And tell me in the comment section down below, who do you think is going to win the Pocono 300? Or, who do you think? Do you think Hendrick is going to prove us wrong and just say that the first race was a fluke? Do you think Joe Gibbs is going to continue on their dominance? Do you think Eric Almirola is going to continue his dominance and possibly maybe have a shot at winning today's race? Again, leave all suggestions down below. But until next time, my name is Jeff from MDK, and I'll see you guys next time.